This is My Child Will Thrive, and I'm your host, Tara Hunkin, nutritional therapy practitioner, certified GAPS practitioner, restorative wellness practitioner, and mother. I'm thrilled to share with you the latest information, tips, resources, and tools to help you on the path to recovery for your child with ADHD, autism, sensory processing disorder, or learning disabilities. My own experiences with my daughter, combined with as much training as I can get my hands on, research I can dig into, and conferences I can attend, have helped me to develop systems and tools for parents like you who feel overwhelmed trying to help their children. So sit back as I share another great topic to help you on your journey. It's episode 2 of the My Child Will Thrive podcast, and here's what's coming up. How many of our kids with neurodevelopmental disorders have compromised detox pathways such as the GI tract or impaired liver function. A quick disclaimer before we get started. My Child Will Thrive is not a substitute for working with a qualified healthcare practitioner. The information provided on this podcast is not intended to diagnose or treat your child. Please consult your healthcare practitioner before implementing any information or treatments that you have learned about on this podcast. There are many gifted, passionate, and knowledgeable practitioners with hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of study and clinical experience available to help guide you. Part of our goal is to give you the knowledge and tools you need to effectively advocate for your child so that you don't blindly implement each new treatment that comes along. No one knows your child better than you. No one knows your child's history like you do or can better judge what is normal or abnormal for your child. The greatest success in recovery comes from the parent being informed and asking the right questions and making the best decisions for their child in coordination with a team of qualified practitioners in different areas of specialty. Now on with the show. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you about something that is important to all of us with children with neurodevelopmental disorders, which is detoxification. This is an area that we all focus on because we have heard much about how our children are significantly impacted by the pollutants or toxicants in the air around them, or they have impaired detoxification systems. But sometimes it's best to take a step back and look at what the underlying pathways and processes are with respect to detoxification and how we can first start with our children before we get into some of the complex detoxification protocols that we may embark on our children. In a nutshell today, I'm going to talk about how our children can't detox effectively if the detox pathways aren't open to begin with, and how many of our kids with neurodevelopmental disorders have compromised detox pathways such as GI tract or impaired liver function. They also are in a constant state of fight or flight, which inhibits their ability to detox effectively, and how it's really important to support their detoxification pathways properly with nutrition before embarking on a major detox protocol. So let's just take a quick step back and say, what is detoxification? Detoxification is what they call a parasympathetic process, which means you have to be in a non-fight or flight, which is a sympathetic state, or a rest and relax state in order to properly detox. Unfortunately, as I mentioned just a moment ago, for our children, most of them are in fight or flight mode a lot of the time due to many reasons. May it be just in terms of their response to the stimuli that are around them. It could be because they're in a constant state of inflammation and chronic stress inside their bodies, as well as from the external factors. So this in and of itself begins a breakdown of their detoxification ability. Detoxification frees vital cellular and organ activities to function productively and efficiently. So obviously that's a very important process. And we detoxify through a number of different organ systems in the body. So let's just talk about a few of those. So the systems that are involved in detox are the cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, digestive system, urinary system, the skin, and the respiratory system. So we detox through our blood, our lymph, our digestive system, which includes the involvement of the liver gallbladder in addition to the GI tract in terms of excreting toxins that way. The urinary system, we detoxify through our kidneys, through our urine, and through the skin, through sweat, and through our breathing. A lot of detoxification comes through the breath. In order to detoxify effectively, we need to make sure that our detoxification pathways through these systems are open and moving properly. So, for example, if your child has chronic constipation and their GI tract isn't moving, and that therefore the toxicants that are being transported out through the fecal matter are not being removed on a regular basis, they tend to get reabsorbed into the system and overwhelm the detoxification pathways within the body in terms of recirculating and going back to the liver again to be processed. So keeping the bowel moving on an ongoing basis is a big challenge for many of us and our children. So what can we do to support the basics of detoxification nutritionally? The first thing is looking at a whole food diet. So processed foods are just an additional stressor on the system. Focusing on whole foods that are not boxed and processed, and including them in the diet as much as possible, and also where possible and where you can afford it, looking at foods that are not exposed to pesticides and things like antibiotics and fungicides. So a whole food diet, and then supporting digestion. So what we eat is important, but how we break that food down is also important. So our kids often have impaired digestive processes. So they may need some digestive support in the form of betaine, HCl, or enzymes. It will depend on their symptomology, and your practitioner will be really helpful in sorting that out. You can also download a cheat sheet on digestion symptoms and supports on the My Child Will Thrive website. In addition to that, we want to make sure their blood sugar regulation is in check. If your child has spikes and falls in their blood sugar, it depletes the B vitamins that are needed, in particular B6, which is needed to produce liver enzyme functions. So if we have a blood sugar dysregulation, which chews up the B vitamins, which then in turns impacts the liver's ability to detox because it can't produce the enzymes it requires. These things are all tied in together. In addition, chronically high blood sugar generates free radicals, which also use up nutrients that are needed to properly detoxify. The free radicals use up antioxidants, or they need antioxidants in order to counteract them. So again, just making sure your child has a combination of they aren't just eating carbohydrates, which unfortunately most of our kids crave most of the time. And that's a discussion for another time in terms of what's going on in their GI tract. But trying to give them meals and snacks that combine carbohydrates, fats, and proteins so that it stabilizes their blood sugar over time. Fats play a role in ensuring that the bile, which is used to carry out the toxins through the GI tract, is healthy. So we want to ensure that there's healthy bile flow, and in order to do that, we need to make sure we're including healthy fats in our child's diets, which would include healthy saturated fats from properly raised animals and from coconut oil, things like avocado oil and olive oil as well. Minerals are really important because toxins deplete minerals like magnesium, which can lead to deficiencies in enzymes like the cytochrome P450, which is used in phase 1 detoxification, and NADPH as well, which is also used in phase 1 liver detoxification. So again, just the exposure to toxins can deplete certain minerals in the body. So ensuring that your child is getting adequate access to things like magnesium and also molybdenum and manganese are all required to activate the metabolic and detox enzymes in the detoxification pathways. So again, making sure that their diet is full of whole foods and that they're digesting it properly will help go a long way to making sure that they get these minerals that will support their detox function. And lastly, but not least, is hydration. So one of the systems that is very important for detoxification is the urinary system or the kidneys, and ensuring that there is adequate hydration in order to keep the urine flowing and flushing out the toxins is really important. Hydration also impacts how well your child's bowels will move. So if they have chronic constipation, ensuring that they're well hydrated will also allow them to continually eliminate the toxins that are carried out through the fecal matter. Also, the skin being a system of detoxification, being properly hydrated allows us to sweat easier. So your kids need to sweat in order to allow some of the toxins to escape through their skin. And in addition to that, it helps keep the lung tissue hydrated, which again is another detoxification pathway, which is your respiratory system. So keeping them well hydrated keeps their lung tissue well hydrated, which also, again, supports that pathway of detoxification. And lastly, hydration keeps the blood fluid flowing, allowing it to carry toxic material to the liver and the lymph to be addressed there. So hydration allows the blood not to get sluggish or thickened, and again carries the toxins to the different organs and systems that need to deal with them appropriately so they can then be carried out through bile and urine. Those are the ways you can support your child nutritionally. There are a number of other things you can do to support detoxification. Through the skin, you can use things like dry brushing, and if your child will tolerate it, an infrared sauna is an excellent way to get them to sweat, also detoxify through the skin. A number of people found great success through using an ion foot bath. And although there isn't as much scientific evidence to support that as possible, there are some studies that have been done by the companies that produce them with focus groups of children with autism. And both the parent reporting has shown great improvement. Their most recent study also reflects the impact on toxins that will continue to flow out through the kidneys. So again, ensuring that the kids are well hydrated and mineral balanced so they can excrete these toxins through the kidneys. After having an ion foot bath, they see much increased levels of the toxins coming through the urine after the foot bath than before the foot baths. So that's something to consider as well. Other things that people do would be to get their kids, and actually it's a good therapy from a sensory input as well, is just a small trampoline to bounce up and down that helps the lymph flow and allows the lymph to continue its job to detoxify. The lymph system does not have a pump like the circulatory system. So movement and exercise or jumping up and down on a trampoline is very helpful for that as well. So those are some of the things you can do both nutritionally and a few additional detoxification strategies you can use with your child. I typically recommend that you would obviously always discuss your detoxification options with your practitioner, but starting with these basic things sets you off on a good foot for some of the other more rigorous protocols that your practitioner may recommend for your child. The challenge is that if you don't address these areas first, that when you do jump into a more rigorous protocol, your child is more likely to have what they call a Herxheimer reaction or a healing reaction, where they get overwhelmed with the toxins and their symptoms can actually get worse. Sometimes that resolves in a short period of time, but in particular with detoxification, if the pathways aren't open, then your child is likely going to just have increased symptoms instead of decreased symptoms and potentially can do more harm than good. So I hope this has been helpful information for you today. And I look forward to any discussion that comes up in the My Child Will Thrive Facebook group or on the website where you can comment if you're interested in getting some feedback on what to do with your child. So that's a wrap. Thanks for joining me this week on My Child Will Thrive. I'm so passionate about giving you the tools and information you need to help your child recover. And as they say, it takes a village, so join us in the My Child Will Thrive Village Facebook group, where you can meet like-minded parents and stay up to date on everything we have going on at My Child Will Thrive. This is Tara Hunkin, and I'll catch you on the next podcast or over at mychildwillthrive.com.